Hey guys. So I get a lot of questions on my YouTube videos about whether or not teenagers should be fasting. Now, I'm not a doctor. I make that clear in all of my videos and on my channel. I'm just sharing my own personal experiences here and things that I've learned, studies that I've looked up. But I would say that because teenagers and young people are still have developing brains, I would say that they probably shouldn't be doing extended fasts. Now, there's a lot of them out there because of the type of diet that we have nowadays that are still getting overweight very young. In fact, I had I was overweight when I was very young. I was always a chubby kid. I didn't eat that well, and so I wound up being overweight as even at a young age. Now I had periods in time where I was in sports or where I was having a growth spurt where I wasn't as chubby as some other time, but really overall, for my whole life, I've been overweight. So I can see why somebody would want to do something like that when they're young. In fact, well, I agree with that, Keto Kelly. I do agree with that. We would probably go longer in between meals. So that's one of the things that I was going to say is that I think that intermittent fasting is probably okay for a teenager. It's the extended fasts where they get into autophagy and where... Oh, that's very nice. So when we get into autophagy, when some of our body processes start shutting down, when we get reduced blood volume, when we start getting cold because we haven't eaten enough to keep our blood volume up where it needs to be. Yeah, I see that. But at least it's a nice troll. But I don't know that they should be doing a lot of extended fasts simply because their brain is still developing. And oh, that's nice. Thank you. It's been a long time since I had anybody saying that kind of stuff, so it gives me a little bit blush there. Not as much as the niacin that I was taking the other day, though. That stuff is crazy. But anyway, I do have a lot of people coming on saying, "Hey, I'm 13. I really want to do fasting." I really think that if you just cut back on the carbohydrates and then you do some intermittent fasting, just extend the period in between when you're actually eating, that it's probably going to do just as well for you, especially because you are still growing. Your metabolism is still as high as it's probably going to be in your entire lifetime. Especially if you're really overweight, then you're going to be having extra skin extra skin like people do that get to be the type of weights that we've been before. But when you're very young, it bounces back quickly, and you have a lot of time, right? You have a lot of time in order to get those things accomplished. So you don't necessarily need to be fasting for extended periods of time. I have people coming on here and saying, "Hey, I'm 14 and I'm going to do a 30-day fast." I'm really happy for them that they are concerned with their health at such a young age. It's something that I wish that I had been more concerned with at that age. Perhaps I wouldn't have gotten to the point that I got to if I had been paying attention to it earlier. It's nice that the internet's around now to give people more information. Back then it wasn't. Kelly, I don't know if it's beyond bouncing back or not. The niacin that I've been taking, one of the reasons that I'm taking it is to try to kill fat cells and also try to get my skin to bounce back a little bit more. But other people have put forth some tips for me about how to use a derma roller with a vitamin C serum. And I think that if you combine niacin with that, you might be surprised at the results that you can get. Because the niacin has really been, I saw somebody that was healing very deep acne scarring from the niacin, and so that's why I started taking it, because I thought, well, if it's working for that, maybe it'll work for stretch marks, maybe it'll work for skin too. Yeah, I don't know if it'll work either. I know that people say it can take up to 2 years for skin to tighten up as much as it's going to, and that genetics play a big role in it. Age plays a big role in it. So, you know, unfortunately, you're probably right. It probably won't bounce back 100%, but maybe it'll bounce back more than you expect. Mine already has. Makes you feel sick to do a fast, but you don't feel... I think I kind of caught that one. You said you can't fast because it makes you feel sick, but you're not really hungry when you do keto. And that last part I agree with. When you're really deep in ketosis and you're eating a high-fat diet, your body gets used to burning fat. And so then you're able to fast easier. But if fasting makes you sick, maybe there's something wrong with your electrolyte balance. Maybe you're just not really that great at it yet. What I would do is I would just keep extending my intermittent fast, and then I would go ahead and try to extend that to the point where you could do a long fast. Make sure you're drinking a lot of water. Make sure you're getting salt. Make sure you're keeping your electrolytes balanced. I know I've admitted before that I drink the 0-calorie drinks, which, you know, I've been drinking sodas, diet sodas, since I was probably 3 years old, so I'm kind of addicted to them, but I'm trying to drink them less and less, and sometimes I can go long periods without drinking them. 3 months? 3 months? That's amazing. That's an amazing fast. I think that the guy who fasted the longest that's been documented was like 462 days, and he lost almost 200 pounds. So yeah, you could definitely fast as long as you have body fat to destroy and to use. Yes, Sasquatch, kicking soda is hard. I don't drink the full sugar soda, but I have before. I go through periods of time. 70 kilograms, what's that? 2.2 pounds per kilogram, so it's 160 pounds? That's crazy. Yeah, I don't know if he gained it back or not. I know that it was documented because he went into a hospital when he wanted to start doing his fast. And so he did have documentation, and they put him on a supplement program. And, oh, he didn't lose 160 pounds? Okay, well, that's a bummer because people can lose that kind of weight when they are fasting. That guy lost almost 200 pounds, I think, during his long fast. And he had it documented that the hospital was putting him on supplements and all kinds of stuff. So it's pretty neat that he set an example for everybody out there to let them know. I don't know if it was unhealthy or not. I mean, if you're getting supplements that are giving you the minerals that you need, you know, who am I to say that it's unhealthy? If you still have fat to burn and you're burning it, he still had muscle at the end too, which is kind of, you know, people try to say that, oh, you're using up protein and it's gonna eat up all your muscle. And I'm kind of starting to, at first I thought maybe they were right, but I was like, well, I'm still going to go on my extended fast when I did my 30-day fast. I'm still going to do that because I could just rebuild the muscle afterwards. And I keep hearing about this. And I listened to Dr. Fung, and I listened to people that had done fasts for over a year. Oh, thank you too. Have a good day. I started doing these live videos because I wanted people to be able to ask questions. I guess I'm not very good at them yet because, as you can see, I'm kind of spazzy. I'm trying to read the comments here that are popping up, and also my internet videos are probably choppy because I live out here in the boonies and my internet connection isn't that great. Yes, but I did see Dr. Fung says you get minimal muscle loss, and you know, Jimmy Moore, I don't know how reliable he is because he's supposedly been ketogenic and doing fasting and everything for 15 years, and he still seems to be quite a bit overweight. So for him, I think maybe he did lose a lot of weight initially, and he probably keeps his weight somewhat in check long term. But I don't know that he really lives by the stuff that he talks about so much, because if he was doing that much fasting, then he would probably be losing more weight. Like I do intermittent fasting right now, and I'm on keto, and I'm not really losing any weight right now. I'm kind of maintaining, but that's because I'm not fasting long enough and because my calories aren't low. Yeah, I kind of am too. But he did say he got DEXA scans before his 21-day fast, and that even though he lost protein in his core. He had gained lean mass in his arms and legs. And I guess you could probably attribute that to it breaking down proteins that you don't need, and then using the growth hormone to actually build some muscle. Or it could just be that he lost, he wasn't very specific about it. It could just be that he lost fat in his arms and legs, and so the percentage of lean mass went up, but his actual pounds of lean mass could have gone down at the same time. But I will say that I don't know. I've got a beautiful wife. I've got a beautiful wife and a little boy. So sometimes my little boy's on the video, but my wife is shy, so she's probably not going to be on there. But the lean muscle didn't seem to go down. And if you look at that guy that did that fast for I think it was 462 days, he would have had zero muscle left if they were actually burning muscle every day. So I really don't think that you need to. And Dr. Fung, who kind of dances around the subject of loose skin, I have heard him mention before that, in the way he says it, he says, I've never referred a patient for skin removal surgery. So people ask him, hey, if you fast that long, do you get loose skin? And he says, well, I've never referred a patient for skin removal surgery. Now, whatever that means, that's not absolute, that doesn't actually sound like their skin all tightened up. Oh, yes. Well, I hope it works out well for you too, Kelly. My wife just kind of had a scare and we had to go get a scan. Luckily she didn't have any cancer. And my father-in-law has brain cancer, and so he had radio surgery, and he just got a new scan too, so we're waiting on results from that. So I'll be praying for both of you, so hopefully both of you have good scans, because that stuff's just terrible. But fasting has absolutely helped my wife, I think. She's, she does intermittent fasting for the last year and a half too, and one of the reasons that she does it is because she's afraid she's going to wind up, she's got a family history and a bunch of people have had cancer, and so she does the fasting to maintain her weight, but also hopefully to prevent cancer. So that's definitely a good reason for fasting. In fact, that's one of the reasons why I'm still doing intermittent fasting, and why I want to do more extended fasting. Right now I'm 36 hours into a fast, and it's only going to be a 36-hour fast. When I get done with the video, I'm going to go out here and have some scrambled eggs. But that's one of the reasons why I'm trying to stay on keto, not to get Alzheimer's. Yeah, that's another great one. Fasting is one of those too. In fact, that's one of the things that we were just talking about, was where we're getting protein when we are... Well, that's good. That's good. I hope you keep him amazed. Maybe you can teach him something there, Kelly. One of the things that I was talking about when with trying not to lose muscle during a fast, and where that protein's coming from, one of them Dr. Fung says is that you've got like little bits of protein that can build up in your brain, and that's one of the causes of Alzheimer's or dementia. And then you can use that protein up in your autophagic processes, and hopefully that will keep you from getting Alzheimer's as well, or at least deter some of the effects. That's something that's important to me. I watched my wife's grandpa get it. I watched my grandpa get it, and they don't know who you are anymore. And it makes me sad just thinking about not even knowing who my family is. But that's what happens to them, and it's got to be very scary. So if you can prevent that, then that's something that is a noble cause. And it's going to help other parts of your health as well. In fact, one of the guys that I work with, he says that somehow there's been studies that show that if you do things backwards, opposite to what you normally do them, it somehow creates new neural pathways or protects the neural pathways that you have, and that can help with dementia or Alzheimer's or prevention. So he brushes his teeth with his opposite hand. Sometimes he walks up the stairs backwards. He tries to do things that are a little bit different, because he says that he heard that doing things opposite to how you normally do is helpful in protecting your brain. I personally am using deodorant that doesn't have the aluminum in it, because I heard that aluminum can lead to Alzheimer's, aluminum buildup. And one of the big places that men get aluminum is through deodorant use, because they have the aluminum in the deodorant, and that's also a glandular area right there where stuff is seeping in. So that's definitely something that's been on my mind too, and also one of the benefits of fasting. Hopefully, obviously they don't have these long-term human studies on this fasting to prove it, and even if they did, they wouldn't have enough of a sample size to say for sure that it was helping Alzheimer's, because they don't know how many of those people would actually get Alzheimer's or not. But I'll tell you what, fasting isn't hurting me. It's helping me with my health in many different ways. There's so many anecdotal type problems that it might be able to fix or prevent that I definitely think that it's worthwhile. And, like Dr. Fung said before too, and like I've said and everybody else said, it's the cheapest diet there is. It's free, right? I mean, you don't have to take anything crazy. You don't have to pay for any huge plan to do it. Just don't eat. I mean, it doesn't get any more convenient and cheaper than that. Obviously it's difficult getting started. It is easier nowadays for me to do the fast. I think initially, mentally, you're just not prepared for the idea of not eating. Later, you get to the point where you've done it before and you know that you were able to do it. Yeah, I actually was intermittent fasting early in my keto journey, simply because, like you said, when you're on keto, it's easier and you're not as hungry. And so I intermittent fasted for, on and off for 1.5 years before I tried my first extended fast. So for me, it was a long time coming too. But now that I'm doing it, I'm glad that I do it, and it gives me some sense of power. It gives me a sense of control. Whenever I see my weight creeping up, I just fast for an extra long period of time for the next week or so. Instead of going 16 hours on an intermittent fast, I go for 20 to 24. Like right now, I'm going for like 1.5 days. I ate a ton of ribs and salad and stuff like that on 4th of July. So yesterday I was paying the piper and I didn't eat yesterday. And now this morning I'm back down to where I was before I went to 4th of July. Me too. The intermittent fasting is a lot easier for me. And I kind of have to plan out my longer fasts. Especially because when you first start the longer fast, concentration isn't necessarily as high as it could be and stuff like that. So for me, I have to plan it out because I don't want to start my fast in the middle of my work week. I have to start it before going to work. That way, by the time I get to work, I'm already through that little bit of a hump. But overall, I feel great when I'm fasting. You could see the ups and downs a little bit on my series of videos when I did my 30-day fast. There were days where I did better than others, but overall I felt like I had great mental clarity. I felt healthy. People keep asking me also, can you exercise during a fast? Honestly, I don't exercise as much as I should. It's kind of boring to me. I really like to research and study. I like to look up things online when I have extra time. I play with my kid when I'm at home. I drive an hour to and from work, so basically my 8-hour day turns into a 10-hour day, 6 days a week. So I don't have a ton of time to be exercising, but I did exercise while I was doing my fast anyway. It was kind of nice weather outside, so at work I'd walk around, and I was getting 3 to 5 miles a day and walking at a pretty brisk pace. Which was good for me considering that when I started the 90-day challenge, I was right at 300 pounds. So that was pretty good exercise compared to what I was used to. So if you're used to exercising, I don't see any reason why you can't continue to exercise while you're fasting. In fact, it'll help put some of that HGH to use and help you build some muscle maybe. Sienna, I know it's probably my internet connection. I'm going to upload the video after I get done with the live chat here. I don't have a great internet connection. I keep calling internet service providers and trying to get better internet, but they can't find my house because my house is out on the dirt road and it's a new house. And so they say that they can't find it because they can't find the address, and nobody will come out here and actually tell me what kind of internet I have. So I have a 5G terrestrial internet connection, which is basically radio towers, and that's the best internet I've been able to find so far. But anyway, the things I definitely wanted to touch on, and I'll do videos on them again later so that I'm not interrupting myself by answering messages. But the things I wanted to address for sure were if you could fast while you're a teenager. And I think, my personal opinion would be that intermittent fasting is probably pretty good for you while you're still a teenager. People do it all the time naturally. Cutting out the carbohydrates as much as you can is going to be, yeah. Sienna, I do think, I think it's Sienna. I do think that intermittent fasting would be good for you. Cutting out the carbohydrates would be good, and that's going to help with metabolic syndromes too. But extended fast, I'm just really scared to recommend extended fast for somebody that young who's still got a developing body and brain, because you do go through an autophagic process where your body starts utilizing cells that you already have, and a lot of them are old for somebody who's older, but it also shuts down processes that could be beneficial to you. And I don't want to see people out there that are stunting their mental growth or something like that just for short-term gains. You're going to have a long time in your life that you can be fasting. So just go longer in between eating. Make sure that you're eating the right things, leafy greens, proteins and fats, and try to stay away from processed carbohydrates as much as possible. I know if I could go back in time, that's what I would tell myself. Can you exercise during a fast? Yes, I absolutely think you can exercise during a fast. Obviously, it's just like regular fasting with all the warning signs. If you're really sick to your stomach, if you've got a headache that just won't quit, if you're just too lethargic to move, maybe it's time to end your fast or stop exercising, take a break, take a rest, and restart again. This is a long-term journey. This isn't something that you have to accomplish in the next 2 weeks. Even though it's nice, fasting is nice for accomplishing something long-term. But you could see during my 30-day fast, it looked like I lost 30 pounds, and people are like, oh, I've seen people lose a lot more than 30 pounds. But what they have to realize is I was already 150 pounds down when I started my fast. I was already super low calorie. I was eating about 700 calories before I started my fast. I was already ketogenic, so I'd already lost a ton of food weight and a ton of water weight. I didn't have all that much food and water weight left to lose. I still lost 30 pounds in 30 days. I gained it all back within 10 days of the fast. And then when I went back into ketosis, which I should have just stayed in ketosis, that was a mistake that I made because I was just so hungry. I wanted to eat everything around after my fast. After I went back into ketosis, I came down about 12 pounds. That means I lost, in my brain, up to 1/3 to 1/2 pound a day for the fast, because I was still eating higher calories than I was prior to the fast, so I had more food weight. So I probably lost somewhere between 12 and 15 pounds during a 30-day fast, which is close to 1/2 pound a day, which is what they say to expect. So you have these massive losses during your fast. It's really only going to add up to 1/2 pound a day. I have lost that much before when I was doing just a ketogenic diet. Of course, I was a lot heavier then and had more weight to lose. But what I'm saying is that you can accomplish the same thing as a fast with a diet. It's just going to be long term. Now, the thing that you're going to get from a fast that you're not going to get from a regular diet are the autophagic properties of the fast. So, and I think I'm pronouncing that right. The autophagic properties of the fast, where it's breaking down cell walls, hopefully breaking down skin, hopefully breaking down the gunk in your brain that could cause Alzheimer's, like we were talking about earlier. Hopefully, clearing out some of the pathways in your body so that your body can rebuild itself and regenerate new tissue, get rid of potential cancer cells, get rid of all this gunk that's just built up in your body. But when you're very young, I think maybe you should just do the intermittent fasting and low carbohydrates. When you're exercising, if you don't feel good, take a break. When you're fasting, if you don't feel good, take a break. You can do all this stuff later. You got more time to do this stuff later. But those are the things that I wanted to touch on today. And now I'm going to go have some scrambled eggs, because after 36 hours, I'm not as hungry as I was yesterday, but I am still hungry. So hopefully I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks a lot for joining me.